LoreWarrior Armour, Ares Medium Tank. Overview. Designed to provide direct and indirect fire support, the Ares tank operates well in a wide range of roles. Specifically, the vehicle's top speed of 86 kph makes it an ideal escort for armoured personnel carriers and transports. Though the Ares isn't classified as an infantry fighting vehicle, most Ares crews are trained to work in conjunction with both battle armour and standard infantry. Capabilities. The 3-man crew of the Ares is protected by 4.5 tons of ferrofibrous armour, which provides consistent protection on all sides. Unlike most vehicles, the Ares rear armour is only marginally inferior to the front glasses and sides, and that's only because the rear location carries case blowout panels. Designed to channel the blast away from the vehicle's more delicate components in the event of an internal ammunition explosion, the case system allows the crew to survive an otherwise catastrophic explosion, though the vehicle itself is rendered inoperable. Most vehicles equipped with case can be repaired and returned to active duty after an ammunition explosion. At the very least, most of the systems are salvageable. With the exception of the driver's bulletproof viewport, none of the crew have a direct view of the exterior of the vehicle. Instead, they rely on camera feeds or periscope sights, a design choice that minimises the number of weak points in the armour and increases crew survivability. A turret-mounted extended-range large laser serves as the tank's primary weapon, allowing accurate direct fire against targets up to 750 meters away. Prone to slight warping when fired repeatedly, the barrel of the weapon is monitored by the fire control system, which automatically compensates for heat-induced distortion. Hull-mounted missile launchers provide secondary direct fire capability. The 10 and 15 tube box launchers can also use targeting data from other vehicles to loft indirect salvos at targets masked by terrain features. Because ammunition for the missile tubes is strictly limited by the vehicle's carry capacity, most commanders favour the turret laser. Deployment. Most commonly found in clans Wolf and Coyote, the Ares has played an increasingly significant role in the Wolf's homeworld garrison forces since the Refusal War. Troop shortages in the invasion force have prompted the transfer of many warriors to the Inner Sphere, and, in a dramatic and desperate strategy, these warriors have been replaced by recruits from the lower castes. Because vehicle training is less intense than that required for mech operations, most soldiers recruited through these garrison-level trials of position have been assigned to the crews of newly manufactured tanks and APCs. After the Zoria, the Ares crews have seen the largest influx of recruits. So the Ares is a 40-ton vehicle, it's tracked, its power plant is a Fusion 200, its cruise speed is 54 kph and its flank speed is 86 kph. Its armour is compound G5 ferrofibrous, and its armament is a single series J7JA extended range large laser, a Type 10 shortbow LRM-10 launcher with Artemis fire control, and a Type 15 crossbow LRM-15 launcher with Artemis fire control, manufactured by various clans across the galaxy. Its communication system is the 2SHC3 model, and its targeting and tracking is the Build 4 JVJ TTS with Artemis 4 fire control. Internally, this translates into a vehicle that has 12 heatsinks, I'm assuming doubles, so it has 24 heat dissipation, giving it armour value of 19 on the front, 17 on the sides, 16 on the rear, and 17 on the turret. Now, I know that this says it's adequately protected, but I would argue that clan vehicles are more in the area of glass cannon than well protected. It says ferrofibrous armour, which makes it sound fancier, more resistant, but a lot of Inner Sphere vehicles that are even lighter in terms of their actual chassis carry far more armour than clan vehicles so far. And I think the idea is that the trade-off is the superior weapons technology and the ability to mount far more equipment by comparison is offset by the fact that if a clan tank gets hit, it really feels it far more than an Inner Sphere tank. For instance, the Hetzer, the first 40-ton tank that comes up in the list of 3026 vehicles, for instance, has double the armour in some places, or close to double the armour compared to this tank. The big difference is the Hetzer brings a single weapon system. I could go to the Goblin medium tank, but that's 5 ton heavier, and yeah, it's still outclassed in terms of firepower, but its survivability is up there. The difference here is that obviously this vehicle carries an ER large, an LRM-10 and an LRM-15, and the Artemis fire control really helps because obviously when you roll to hit with that, you're also adding a +2 to the number of missiles when you do score a successful hit, giving you a higher chance of landing all 10 or all 15 missiles on the target. So the damage potential is certainly there. The weapons are located with the laser in the turret, the LRM-10 and 15 both in the front, with their ammo located in the body of the vehicle, with the Artemis obviously also facing the front. But it's interesting to note that any of the hits on this vehicle are going to be felt. But I'd be interested in actually running a scenario of a star of these tanks, or a mixed star anyway, of medium and upper end light clan vehicles going up against 2 lances of what would be considered standard Innisphere vehicles circa 3049, 3050, just to see how those 5 tanks handled 8 Innisphere vehicles and just seeing what the battle would turn into, because I imagine once the fighting got close enough that range became less of an issue for the Innisphere vehicles, that's where the clan ones would really start. You'd start rolling a lot more internal crits on them compared to the clan vehicles, which would start to end up in a scenario where they're being overwhelmed because a single tank can be targeted by multiple Innisphere vehicles in a single turn and wear it down. And obviously it only takes a lucky hit, motives being the biggest part of any armoured force, being the big drawback in Battletech, meaning that they could very easily get disabled and become completely immobile. And when the majority of the firepower of an Ares tank, for instance, is actually located in the front, that means if it loses a track and becomes stationary as a target, it means that obviously it's then going to have a situation where you only need to get to the side. It's just got the large laser, then depending on how far the target's moved, the difficulty goes up, blah blah blah, you know. Everything then comes down to the gods of the dice, doesn't it? You see what happens. So, yeah, I do find it interesting. I personally think it's probably a bit more of a balance element that clan vehicles overall have less armour compared to the Innisphere versions. There's got to be a drawback somewhere. There's got to be some kind of concession. Otherwise, you'd imagine that basically the Innisphere would just be scrambling to salvage as many tanks as humanly possible from the clans because, well, these things are just far better overall in every way, shape and form. Visually, the Ares is an interesting looking vehicle. It certainly keeps within the unique art style that's been, as I said earlier in one of the other videos, definitely is prescribed by Plog, and giving them a design style that is very clan. This puts me in mind tread-wise of things like the Stridsvagen 103, or known as the Wedge tank. Although obviously this thing I doubt would be changing the positioning of the treads, but it puts me in mind of that vehicle. Also some of the interwar designs that were a little bit out there for things like being able to easily climb trenches and hills and other obstacles. The driver being located so low down is interesting, and also the fact that apparently he has a bulletproof glass, but he doesn't have laser-proof glass. I'm sure it's just a figure of speech on that one. An interesting, very large port for the driver, so he's got a good view. There's no arguing there. I don't know what it's like if infantry do get close enough to put like a fucking breach charge or something on the glass and just blow that thing open and just kill the driver, but yeah, it's unique, I guess. It has no short-range personal defense capability, so I guess that's where, if this thing is moving with transports or APCs, that's where the APCs would be trying to keep infantry away from this vehicle while it is firing at larger, more dangerous targets. I guess that would be the idea. Not bad. It's not bad. I don't dislike it. It's the old Ares, so yeah, it's fine. Visually, not my cup of tea, but you know, it's not ugly. I don't dislike it. I just think there are better clan vehicles out there visually in this TRO. But I've rambled enough for one day. I'll catch you next time, and we'll see you on the next one. Until then, have a good one, everybody. Thanks again. Bye bye.